is Gabriel Sanchez. I was born and raised in Arizona, Yuma County, actually. So I'm excited to be here in different communities across the state. I've worked in the sustainability and energy fields for about 13, 14 years now. I started off in greenhouse gas and sustainability reporting, environmental reporting, like environmental metrics, things like that. Moved more onto like energy and data analytics with a lot of renewables, a lot of solar, a lot of like assessing the efficiency and ROI of solar installations. And currently, as an energy grants program manager with Governor's Office of Resiliency, I am in charge of managing a couple of state and federal grant programs that focus on energy transition, energy efficiency, and also some climate efforts we have going on. And I'm super excited to be here and help celebrate American Solar's 25-year anniversary.
Awesome, thank you. It's called the Office of Resiliency. When Governor Hobbs was elected, and I was excited, to have an energy office. Of course, Office of Resiliency was an interesting. The resiliency was new words that were coming into the conversation, which I was having, right, with our customers. Of solar does provide resiliency to the home. It's almost the beginning steps to providing resiliency to the home as you keep electrifying. So, do you know why that name was chosen, and was it more of a global thought process?
Yeah, I think it. So we touch on several different kind of programmatic areas. One of them is we are the designated state energy office. As such, we manage some Department of Energy federal programs, and we are eligible for state energy program dollars. That's been a longstanding DOE program that they provide funding for states to develop and implement state-specific energy goals. And so we manage the state energy office. And then we also manage a policy area. So we have policy advisors under the energy, water, land use, and transportation that provide direct policy advisory to Governor Hobbs. And then separately, we manage a lot of other energy-related and climate-related programs. And so I think resiliency really encompasses, it's a wider umbrella than just energy or sustainability. On top of what I mentioned, we all know energy is a hot topic right now, but we have issues like extreme heat, drought, wildfire, and just climate change in general. That again, all of that I think is better represented under a wider umbrella of resiliency than just sustainability, than just energy.
Right. It's such a bigger conversation.
Correct. Yeah.
It's amazing how quickly energy has become an overnight conversation because of the demands that we're seeing and the climate issues. How does the office set the objectives of the future of energy or a plan that is created for it?
Yeah. So we're actually fairly new, and our office was established in February of 2023 when Governor Hobbs took office. So the office established some blueprint goals at that time. We visit them often, and we're always working towards those goals. There are things like building a resilient Arizona for future generations, climate mitigation and adaptation, creating a 21st century clean energy economy, water security for Arizona's future, resilient forests and grasslands, and also access to recreation. So those are kind of like the main goals that guide a lot of the work that we do, that were established again through a blueprint when our office was first created. And through our different either programmatic or policy areas, we really touch on all of those. And like I said, we're always kind of revisiting and making sure we're aligned. And if we need to pivot, we do what we need to.
Okay.
But yeah.
And when policies change, or when is that also like focused on with the legislature? Like, how does the legislature know your objectives on that?
Through our policy team, there's always constant communication with the legislative team.
Okay.
So Governor Hobbs also issued an executive order on energy in September of last year.
Okay.
Creating what we're calling the Arizona Energy Promise. I encourage everyone to look it up. I can provide a link to it if you need to. There will be more upcoming on that, but it really aims to create, and that's kind of been one of the things that one of the major elements of meeting some of our goals that we created through our blueprint, specifically around energy, and again, just creating a better system, improving our current management of either the grid and also creating responsible frameworks around data center development.
Yeah.
We can all agree that they're good, for economic development and they're good for business, but we don't want that to come at the expense of residents, and citizens shouldn't have to shoulder um, the burden of increased rates on water and electricity. And so those are one of the things that the energy executive order is one of the big things that kind of we're using to deliver on these blueprint goals.
That's so yeah. So I had spoken to others on the utility side, and it feels as though there's going to be, as the tension and the demand for data centers increases in Arizona and nationwide, there's going to be a situation of like, who's going to be the adult in the room and say like, no, not enough, right? So at first I thought it was going to be the utilities who are like, well, I can't bring you energy. But then when I speak to the utilities are like, well, I'm going to wait for the politicians to tell us what, if it's an economic development issue. So at that moment I was like, oh, darn, this is going to just be a big fight of who gets what and when, and who's going to be the adult that says yes or no.
Yeah.
So it's going to go on to the governors.
Well, we don't have the rate making, or
right.
A lot of the
but you'll at least try to pass the vision.
Correct. A lot of the authority that lies in other entities.
Right.
However, I think we can definitely encourage and present and promote like the solutions that we believe are best for the state.
Mm-hmm.
We're drawing a lot also from not just, of course, I think Arizona is its own place, but there's a lot happening across the nation that's really, again, creating the guardrails and the frameworks that can help bring in the business, but also ensuring that it's not at the expense of other ratepayers.
Yeah. So can you tell me again, and I appreciate you being here, just like, why is this conversation of energy or efficiencies, reliability, and affordability so important? And like, how is that creating a better outcome? Again, I'm almost asking the question after you stated it, but would be there anything else that you would add to that?
I think and you're spot on. I think a lot of people don't fully understand, and we talk about this all the time, and I feel maybe with you guys understand, working on the renewable side as well. I like to joke, and if my wife sees this video, she's gonna laugh. That because she oftentimes when she's asked like, what do you do for work, or what do I do for work, she's like, I don't know, energy stuff. But there's a lot that happens, on the back end for us to like plug in our phone or plug in our computers, for that. And again, it's important for us to like really understand our consumption, really understand, the implications behind it, for many reasons. I'm sure, a lot on super relevant to this conversation and to the people here now is you're probably interested in solar because, you see it as a good investment to help reduce your energy consumption, therefore reduce your total energy costs. That's a great driver, and so I think that's a key thing right there. Reducing energy consumption. First and foremost, reducing energy costs. So some people just care about reducing energy costs. They don't care about using more energy, and there are ways of doing that. Believe it or not, depending on what kind of rate plans you're on and how you manage your consumption, you can actually use more energy and somehow end up paying less for it. That's actually a feasible way around it. But if your driver is reducing energy costs, then through efficiency and solar, I think are good ways of achieving that. Again, I'm not proposing anyone use more energy for the sake of it, but again, that's something out there.
And based upon these conversations we're even having here, are you optimistic that you're seeing that people are starting to have that a deeper connection to electricity and how they consume it, and building a deeper relationship with their home and the building envelope to reduce their...
I think so, and not just electricity, but energy in general.
Okay.
I mean, just energy costs in general, I think hit our checkbooks, and we feel it in our pockets. Fuel is a perfect example right now, and I think people are becoming more aware of again, like what we're paying for our electricity, what we're paying for our utilities in general. There's a lot of communities are facing utility rate increases, which again, a lot of that is just the utilities catching up with just the rate of inflation of things. And I'm not speaking directly on like whether that's justified or not. I'm just saying that like these are realities, and people are becoming more aware of these costs. On the revisiting the electricity piece, I think that with electricity rates already increasing, we're seeing energy markets become more volatile for we know many reasons. Things like renewables and energy efficiency are just those a couple of things that can help us again reduce that consumption, reduce that overall cost, and overall like contribute to um, a better energy system for the
Right.
state.
Yeah, more diversified, less reliant.
Yeah.
If you could speak to a little bit, because you have your data of just how impactful just reducing your energy consumption actually impacts not having to deploy a new natural gas
Yeah.
peaker, for example.
No, and that's huge. And I think well, the one of the main things is that energy efficiency is among the most cost efficient um, practice we can deploy when it comes to energy management. It's a lot more efficient and cost effective to weatherize a building, maybe put some renewables on it as well, than just build more grid infrastructure to bring the energy that you need. That that's expensive. That takes a lot of money. The utilities often, when they have to do that, it's rate based, and so it often leads to bill increases, which again maybe needs to happen because they need to build the infrastructure that we depend and we rely on. But again, I think working on the smaller side of things can help prevent those larger infrastructure investments that sometimes are definitely justified and needed. But again, I think um, we can help by reducing our end consumption.
Yeah. We're just now bringing in a solar tube, which is based on, I'm like calling it almost a window that's connected to your roof. Because I say solar tube and people think it's solar powered, and it's not.
Yeah.
It's just a window that's in your roof that you put on it, and it goes through your ceiling and casts light, right? Or even solar powered attic fans, right? Just to reduce this energy load on people's homes. Like everything that we do is critical to reducing how much our home and the building envelope consumes, or even roofing product that's reflective of the heat. This new term came when I was at a utility conference, so now I'm testing it. But how do you see citizen-owned solar? Citizen-owned. That's the new. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So, how do you see citizen-owned solar? And then, why do you think it's such an important piece to the energy mix?
Yeah, I think citizen owned. I think maybe what we would call previously residential
solar. Yeah, we're calling it citizen owned.
But citizen owned / residential solar, I think, is a huge piece of it because we spend a lot of time in our homes. Like we use a lot of the energy and electricity we use is in our homes, and becoming more reliable and just I think working again on the smaller side of things can help the larger side of things, and overall like it's contributing to just less a lower need to deploy again these larger infrastructure developments or larger infrastructure investments that oftentimes take longer, and they are just a lot more expensive. Solar is fast and easy to deploy as well. And it can help with a lot of things as well, like increasing occupant comfort. We were dealing with a historic heat wave, like right now, and just again having that solar, having some renewable generation, it can help really offset a lot of those costs and just be part of an overall solution, I think, to the mix. Again, more than anything, because it can help offload some of that need that the utilities need to provide as well.
Yeah. And I also, when I think about it too, I think about how when citizens choose, it's almost like voting, right? You're opting into the conversation of I support clean energy.
Yeah.
It is important to me, and I hope that other people follow along.
Yeah.
It's like a statement of for whatever their why is. Whether they want to have a more resilient home, they want to save money, they want electeds to vote differently. Climate change is real. They want to be a part of the solution.
No, I agree, and I think people may have different motivators, but I think as long as we're all working towards that, I think it ultimately helps because, like you said, people may want to do it just out of building a more resilient home, just to save money, or they really see it as a climate solution. Whatever the reason is, I think
Yeah.
we can all agree that renewables can provide some benefits of
Hmm.
all of the above, and so that's
Yeah.
great.
Again, with any other solution, but it's like all sectors, no matter what it is, it just comes down to they want a better future, whether that's for themselves or the climate or the planet, and they want control it for their home or for the future of, so it's those core values is where I'm really seeing a overlay of our customer sectors, and everybody, whether you are doing it because you're focused on the climate and the environmentalist, or you're doing it because you want to build resiliency into your home. Either way, you want a better future, and either way, you want controls to have that, objective achieved. Do you have data around just the economic impact of clean energy projects in Arizona and how much it actually does impact us?
No,
Okay.
not direct numbers.
Okay.
It's actually quite hard to quantify.
Okay.
I will mention though that one of our big focus points as well, and the governor in general, is creating an expanded workforce on our end, is related to clean energy and what we call more of like a resilient workforce, because again it's more than just energy. There's like a lot of the policy areas that I mentioned earlier as well. But when we talk about how can the impact of clean energy, specifically in Arizona, like I said, there's a lot, and you guys have been in business for 25 years. I'm sure you've employed hundreds of people in that time, and it's only growing. So you're continuing to do that. And on top of the direct employment, we have suppliers, and just all the people involved
Hmm.
throughout the line of supply and the work. On top of that, I think there's a huge opportunity for Arizona to position itself as a leader in clean energy, or just energy development in general. We have a huge solar potential, so that's key. Um, on top of that, we are a leader in right now data center development, but also in high tech development. Like
Hmm.
there's a lot of chip manufacturing that happens as well. I
Hmm.
think that's all connected, because if we can help provide clean, reliable energy to these high users, again, that just brings more and more to our state.
Hmm.
And yeah, and then specifically the issue of workforce and creating jobs around energy, I think is something that we're definitely more focused on, and we have been trying to capture more data for. Was part of one of the deliverables we prepared for the EPA for our climate action plan. We developed a specific workforce planning analysis in which we aimed to identify like the challenges and opportunities related to the clean energy economy and growing jobs related to that. There's a lot of opportunities in just training new people, but also reskilling workers
Hmm.
to come into the clean energy or the energy fields in general. Whether that's electricians, and then skilling them specifically to learn how to manage and work on storage projects. Safety as well. You mentioned how storage has its risks as well, and so again, just having people learn the specific like niche and like tips and tricks for specific energy related projects. I think is key.
Is there a goal? Was there a goal for the skilling or a number of humans to be skilled in that?
No, not a
Okay.
direct goal, but I believe it does quantify like the current
Okay.
the current trends and projections based on kind of like our growth.
Okay.
Mind you, a lot of that has shifted based on the availability of funding and
Okay.
conflicting priorities. But I think it gives us something to work towards as well.
But skilled trades is an important factor to the
100%.
governor's
Yeah.
office. Yeah. I mean, so when I was in high school, I took woods.
Mm.
And so that was my first, and I would go to Home Depot on the weekends
Yeah.
with my dad and help him build things in my
Nice.
house, right? So that was my first entree into, being a skilled tradesperson and loving the craft.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that we have pulled back, right? And university was pushed a lot. So having that focus to the skilled trade is very important
100%.
for everything within your purview or within the organization that does focus on small businesses like mine, of like why it's important to have small businesses in the state and thriving, and why it's better?
The state as a whole, I believe, does have a
Okay.
lot more areas of focus on that. Our office, not directly, apart
Okay.
from what I like mentioned
Okay.
in trying to expand not just the overall clean energy economy, which includes workforce and labor
Mhm.
and small businesses. Yeah.
Okay.
I will say this too. Actually, this is a great pitch. We recently launched what we're calling it's an energy efficiency revolving loan fund, and so this is from some grant dollars we received from the Department of Energy, and we made some of these grant dollars available to some CDFI, some community development financial institutions, and nonprofit lenders to create the programs that can then provide low interest loans to small businesses to help implement energy efficiency within their business buildings and practices.
Mm.
So we're excited to launch that. We're working on announcing our two initial CDFI lenders, and so yeah, watch for more of that.
Okay. So that's coming.
That's coming.
Okay, we'll have to add that to the links.
I want to rewind a little bit too
yeah.
on the conversation of workforce. So
Yes.
another big program that we're managing right now is the Efficiency Arizona program, which again, like I mentioned earlier, provides rebates for energy efficient appliances. That's been huge, not only because I mean, again, it's providing a direct benefit and rebate to homeowners, but it's all done, or the majority of it. So there's two pathways to the program. One of it is through a qualified contractor, and these are energy contractor companies that can do the work. They help facilitate the rebate and make things a lot easier. So we're providing business for them while also providing, the benefit to the homeowners. There's another route as well. That's just the direct retail route, which you can go to any Lowe's in Arizona now. Check out the appliances. There's a QR code, and it guides you through the application process. Again, some of this is income eligible, so it may not be eligible to everyone, but it's huge because it's providing a lot of benefits. A lot of that too is again to the small businesses who are working on these
To the
projects.
installer.
Yeah,
That's
installers.
amazing. Moving into extreme heat, how is it defined?
So the I actually had some like more clear definitions here, but for extreme heat, so our office, in collaboration with other state agencies, including the Arizona Department of Health Services, put out a extreme heat preparedness plan in 2024. That defines extreme heat as 2 or 3 days of 90 degrees or higher. We know that's very prevalent here in Arizona, and there are different definitions as well. For example, the National Weather Service, I believe, uses 105 as like the metric for issuing heat advisories. And so again, there's various working definitions, but I think for the purposes of what the NWS uses, which is I believe is 105, and what our extreme heat preparedness plan is 90 plus. I do want to mention though is that again, even with various definitions, there our heat is becoming more dangerous. We all know, and I think us living here understand that. Well, yeah, it's hot in Phoenix, but it's getting hotter. And, but it's a dry heat. Yeah, exactly. But I often hear, or like I see online, or people joke when I meet them when they're from out of town. They're like, "Oh, well, it's always hot in Phoenix." Like like ooh, big news. But there's a real risk when our overnight low temperatures hover at 100, for example. And but we used to see like high temperatures, 115s, even a decade or more ago. It would still drop down, below up to maybe 80 or below overnight. And now we're not really seeing that, and that's where a real risk happens. And yeah, there's a huge risk to, for example, our own house populations. Where imagine just being out in the open for multiple days at a time, and it never gets below 100 degrees. That's where I think a real risk lies.
And so you work with the Department of Health, is that what you said?
Yeah.
And so then what policies, is it like it's never going to change, I'm assuming, or we're never going to go back to having a nice at nighttime? Or do you think are there policies that we could be putting into place to turn back some of this heat
Well,
issues that
I
we have?
believe, yeah, there are. I think a lot of that is at the municipal level as
Okay.
well, in terms of like, what kind of like how our architecture impacts a lot of it.
Okay.
And I think, there are ways, we can do that. There are a lot of urban forestry programs that are happening. Trees
Okay.
can help increase shade and drop in the overall temperatures in even
Uh-huh.
at a smaller region.
Uh-huh.
And so I think those are huge. There are a big focus or a big element to our extreme heat preparedness plan was actually creating a extreme heat chief heat officer,
Mm-hmm.
which is the first of its kind in the nation. So
That's from the state,
yeah,
y'all, the
correct,
governor's
yeah.
office? Okay.
And so yeah, I think there are specific task forces and committees working on addressing our extreme heat challenges. A lot of this being done in collaboration, like I said, with DHS, and we've also rolled out, and they, I think we're seeing extreme heat happening, in March, which is
Mm-hmm.
unusual. But um, in previous years, we've rolled out what we call like our cool-tainers program.
Mm-hmm.
These are actually have solar power, and they're essentially retrofitted shipping containers that offer a cooling place for people to stop in, escape the heat for a bit. There's free water in there as well, and that's all in an effort to help reduce extreme heat deaths because
Is that that's been deployed?
that's been deployed. Yeah.
And where are those?
Though, well, it hasn't been
Oh,
deployed so far this
okay,
year,
okay,
but they were deployed starting 2024 and 25,
okay,
and yeah, they are throughout various parts of the valley,
okay.
and yeah, they've been great, and they've really helped with again providing that escape for the heat that a lot of people may need, and ultimately helping reduce extreme heat deaths.